So what is life for you? I mean, you look at our life, and I heard you before speaking. Is it a dream? Is it real? Is it a million D? What is life for Elon Musk?
I find as I get older, I find that question to be maybe more and more confusing or troubling or uncertain. I think particularly when you see the advancement of something like video games. You know, like say 40 years ago, you had video games. The most advanced video game would be like Pong, where you had like two rectangles and a dot. And you're like batting it back and forth.
I played it.
Oh yeah, like me too, exactly. I played
all.
Pong. Exactly, it sort of dates you a little bit, but yeah, we both played the same game. And that was like, wow, that was a pretty fun game at the time. But now you can see a video game that's photorealistic, almost photorealistic, and millions of people playing simultaneously. And you see where things are going with virtual reality and augmented reality. And if you extrapolate that out into the future with any rate of progress at all, like even 0.1% or something like that a year, then eventually those games will be indistinguishable from reality. They'll be so realistic, you will not be able to tell the difference between that game and the reality as we know it. And then it seems like, well, how do we know that that didn't happen in the past and that we're not in one of those games ourselves?
Interesting.
I mean, could be.
Everything is possible in life.
I mean, particularly like things seem to be accelerating to something.
The holiday season is a popular time to go to the movie theater, but this year a lot of people are choosing to stay home to watch the latest hits.
Netflix is celebrating both record-breaking streams of the new Sandra Bullock hit Bird Box and the success of a first-of-its-kind interactive movie.
To understand these antics, of course, you have to see the movie. Survival in Bird Box depends on staying blindfolded because seeing the supernatural beings that invaded the country means instant death.
Under no circumstance are you allowed to take off your blindfold.
There's even a scene where Sandra Bullock and her fellow survivors drive to a grocery store with the car windows blacked out, a scene now being mimicked in this so-called challenge.
Like the driving part is definitely, I don't know, I would never do it. That's all I know.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's a little insane.
The film's premise now taking on a life of its own on the interwebs.
It's hard to believe that people would even attempt a challenge with something covering their eyes like a blindfold, quite literally leaving them in the darkness, but it is happening.
In Bird Box, Sandra Bullock is tormented by evil creatures that turn anyone who sees them suicidal. She and her children wear blindfolds to make their escape. Blindfolded copycats have now popped up on social media.
The challenge came from the movie's plot, where people are forced to wear blindfolds to prevent them from being possessed by demons and prey on their worst fears.
Big problem. I mean, people take the social media stuff too far. I mean, you can get seriously hurt or killed doing some of these challenges.
On Instagram, we searched Bird Box Challenge and found a slew of pictures and videos, like this picture of two girls blindfolded in the street taking a selfie. But nothing was more disturbing than this video, also on Instagram, showing a man coming out of a shed blindfolded, swinging a pickaxe at anything in his way. The viral challenge prompting Netflix to issue a warning on Twitter saying, "Can't believe I have to say this, but please do not hurt yourselves with this Bird Box Challenge.
Your life is not worth no likes. Your life is worth more than likes."
Now hoping that the success of Black Mirror is a reflection of things to come in the new year. Netflix is giving subscribers a role to play in its popular series.
We're going to be a hit factory.
In Black Mirror Bandersnatch, which debuted Friday, viewers get to choose their own adventure and make choices that impact the film, like deciding on the movie's soundtrack. Throughout the film, viewers are presented with multiple choices and have 10 seconds to make a decision that will map out the course of the story.
What do you want for your breakfast?
Frosties or Sugar Puffs, you decide. It's Netflix's first adult-oriented interactive experience, and it's captivating fans on social media.
The audience online is going pretty crazy about this. If you go on Twitter, people have all kinds of theories, they're mapping this out.
The technology is mind-boggling. The movie was shot in just 35 days and has 5 main endings. But because of the choices left up to viewers, there are over 1 trillion variations of the storyline. And if you make a bad decision, the characters in the film will let you know.
Sorry, mate. Wrong path. The Netflix had to develop an own storytelling tool that helped them to branch the narrative, find these loops, figure out which decision leads to which path and so forth, and map out the different endings.
Someone once said to me, intelligence is what we use when we don't know what to do. And I think that's the best description of intelligence I've ever heard.
And my favorite definition of artificial intelligence is it's the opposite of natural stupidity.
There's plenty of that in the world, isn't there? Yeah. But what is artificial intelligence and what is just data crunching is just looking at lots of historical data and processing it really quickly and looking smart.
These days, when computer scientists adopted learning from data, they are crunching text and translating it. They're crunching audio input and doing speech recognition. They're crunching images and recognizing things that are in it. So all of that now gives a perception of human-like capability. But it really still is, at the end of the day, data crunching, just different kinds of data. And what happened is, look, in the last 10, 20 years, as mobile phones came and cameras became incredibly cheap and everything, text became digital, like this is not the case, right? So all of this became data. So everything became data. The world became data.
That's reaction to the so-called Bird Box Challenge. Some folks are posting videos like this one, showing themselves driving while blindfolded.
Most of you have the same response. Let natural selection do its job. This should not be a warning, says Rob Geach. To that, David Curtis says, you cannot fix stupid. Back to you.
Frustrated commuters across the country may welcome tech titan Elon Musk's latest big disruptive idea. When Musk took me for a ride the other day, it was an eye-opening 4-minute journey. What this conversation was about, we booked this interview a long time ago. But I love how his brain operates. He looks at a problem. What he did with the Brooks is ingenious.
Well, do I think that there's some sort of master intelligence architecting all of this stuff? I think probably not, because then you have to say, where did the master intelligence come from? So you have it sort of begs the question of, you know, So I think really you can explain this with the fundamental laws of physics. You know, it's complex phenomenon from simple elements.